we're sitting here today. You've got this background in which you've clearly done some introspective work. You've clearly used your memory, scanned the past, what here serves me, what doesn't, and then brought that forward. You have your own family, 2 kids. What you said, 2 and 5, 5 and 2?
Almost 2 and 5. Yeah.
Okay, good. And your husband, Matt? Mm-hmm. Beautiful family of 4. You're at the gym with some great friends, and you're connected into the community that you live. You got a better job. All the things seem to be going your way. What vision do you have for yourself for the future? If you were to look out 10 years and you were to say, hey, this is our ideal lifestyle for myself and my family. Have you thought a lot about that?
I just by nature am a terrible goal setter. I don't do a good job at looking to the future. I kind of just live life in the present, which is something that I do. Like at work, for example, when we have our end of year conversations and they're like, so what are your goals for next year? I'm like, I don't know. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I did recently, so I work for Strayer University, and I used to work in admissions, which basically meant I was on the phones all day talking to students who wanted to go to school, which is a great job for people who love it. I personally hated every second of it. I don't know why, I just didn't. And I think mainly what it was I worked 2 minutes down the road at the business park on the other side of the interstate. But, I was sitting there in this cubicle and doing this job, and my husband was out traveling and getting to have all these cool experiences. And I was just I had to be there a set amount of hours. I had no flexibility. And I was just is this really what my life is going to be? My mom, that was kind of the same thing she worked in logistics, but it was, she was in a cubicle and she didn't love it. And she just kind of maintained the status quo and was complacent, I guess. And maybe through watching her, it just made me be all right, I don't want to do this. And then of course having a kid, I would sit there and it'd be 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock before I would leave sometimes. And I'm like, how am I ever going to be at his soccer practices? Or how am I ever going to be able to what are we going to do when he starts school? So I took a huge leap during COVID. Strayer restructured a ton, as I'm sure, or every business did, and launched all these new teams. And one of the teams they launched was called the Transformation Team back then. And essentially what it was meant to do was have a group of people who could work together to come up with innovative ideas to make the job of being an admissions officer more enjoyable. So I was I hate being an admissions officer, so
perfect
who
job.
better for the job?
Right.
Somehow I got that job, and because of COVID, I worked from home, and that never went away. But I recently actually kind of jumped ship from that team, which I loved, and it was an amazing group of people in that season of my life, having 2 small kids, and one of them who was at home with me. I was in a position where I was an individual contributor, and that's all I could handle. I didn't need people under me. I needed to be responsible for having one-on-ones and handling disciplinary stuff. I was good. But I was approached probably November of last year about jumping to our Omni communications team, which I was told I knew a lot about just through things I did. And now that I'm on that team, I'm I know nothing. So I don't know what you guys thought I knew, but thanks. But, now work is, I feel I'm honestly taking a college course every day when I sit down to do my job. I'm just learning so much. All of that to say, though, the goal with that position is to eventually build up a department that is under me that handles all of the Omni communications for Strayer. So when I think 10 years down the road, what that's going to look like, hopefully it's me running a huge team of people and completely redoing all of the communications for Strayer and figuring out how to actually be an Omni communications company and take advantage of AI and all these crazy things that are coming out right now. And then I think naturally my son starts kindergarten in August, so that's going to be a huge life change. So when I think 10 years down the road, like I hope that he is thriving in school and has a group of buddies and has the confidence that I never really had growing up. Honestly, didn't have until I started at Burn, as cheesy as that sounds. And same thing with my daughter. Like, I hope I'm just somebody that she can look to be like, dang, my mom, like, she has confidence. Like, I can pull that from her, because I didn't have that growing up.
There's in the book we just wrote, Morgan and I, there's something called the Burn lifestyle, and I wrote a little exercise in there, and I'd like to invite you to do that with me.
Okay.
Because I hear some specificity in categories of your life that mean the most to you. It seems to me that you're ultimately driven by the relationship that you have with your kids, both emulating the role your parents played in the things that you loved, but also filling the voids that weren't there. Mm-hmm. And that ultimately that's the thing pulling you forward, right? Is some version of themselves down the road when they're adults and they're maybe your age and they're looking back at you and being like, Mom, I know the whole family story and you did it and we're proud of you. And then secondarily challenged by work and ambitious person you are, huh? Yeah, challenged by work. And it seems that way to me.